Here.
Here.
It's on?
Here.
All members of council are here and accountable. Mr. Davis.
Yes, Your Honor, I move that the minutes of November 24th, 2015 and December 1st, 2015 be accepted as written.
Second.
It's been thoroughly moved and second that the minutes of November 24th, 2015 and December 1st, 2015 be accepted as written. Roll call.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Mr. DiLoretto.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye.
Mr. Metcalf.
Aye.
Mr. Paul.
Aye.
Mr. Villamagna.
Aye.
So moved. Minutes accepted. Petitions and communications, Madam Clerk.
Okay.
Before we move into the ordinance before City Council this evening, I would like to remind everyone if they have a cell phone, please turn them off or put it in the vibrating position. With that, we will now move into ordinance number 2015-110 by the Planning Committee. Mr. Davis, Mr. Johnson, for its third reading.
Ordinance number 2015-110, an ordinance authorizing the city manager and urban projects director to advertise for bids for the 2016 CDBG street improvement program, subject to the right to reject any and all bids, authorizing entering into said contract with the lowest and most qualified bidder, and authorizing payment thereof.
What's your glasses?
You heard the third and final reading of ordinance number 2015-110. Is there anyone wishing to speak on it? Please come forward, state their name and address. If not, members of council.
Question.
Roll call.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Mr. DiLoretto.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye.
Mr. Metcalf.
Aye.
Mr. Paul.
Aye.
Mr. Villamagna.
Aye.
So moved. Ordinance number 2015-110 duly adopted. Ordinance number 2015-113 by the Building and Grounds Committee. Mr. Paul, Mr. Johnson.
Ordinance number 2015-113, an ordinance authorizing and directing the city manager to enter into an agreement with the Old Fort Steubenville Project, Inc. for the maintenance of the fort and declaring an emergency.
You heard the reading of ordinance number 2015-113. Is there anyone wishing to speak on it? Please come forward, state their name and address.
This is all old business, this thing is.
Not members council. Question. Roll call.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Mr. DiLoretto.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye.
Mr. Metcalf.
Aye.
Mr. Paul.
Aye.
Mr. Villamagna.
Aye.
So move. Ordinance number 2015-113 duly adopted. That will conclude the ordinances before City Council this evening. We will now move into the report of committees. With that, we'll start off with Mr. Davis.
I have no committee report, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Mr. DiLoretto? No report. Thank you, Mr. DiLoretto. Mr. Johnson?
No report, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Mr. Metcalf?
Yeah, just one report, and this comes from the Finance Committee meeting we just had. I'm going to make a motion to move into executive session pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 121.22 G1 to discuss employment of personnel right after we are done with the public forum.
Second.
It's been regularly moved and second that we move into executive session following public forum for the discussion of personnel. Roll call.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Mr. DiLoretto.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye.
Mr. Metcalf.
Aye.
Mr. Paul.
Aye.
Mr. Villamagna.
Aye.
So moved, motion carried. We will move into an executive session following public forum. Anything further, Mr. Metcalf? Thank you, Mr. Metcalf. Mr. Paul?
Yes, Your Honor, I have something I'd like to get out there. First of all, Your Honor, I would like to thank the four applicants, Scott Dressler, Jeff King, Romeo, and Ms. Ann Sweeney, for their valuable time, their commitment, and their interest that they provided to this council in order for us to fill the unexpired 2-year term for the vacant 4th Ward council position. It was a very hard decision. I lay awake many nights thinking about this. We could not go wrong with any of the four applicants. To the residents of the 4th Ward, if all the applicants choose to become a candidate in 2 years at the next election, you will see too that you have a very hard decision to make. So after much debate and thought, I make a motion that Scott Dressel be appointed to fill the 2-year term for the 4th Ward Council position, to be the active advocate for the people of the 4th Ward.
I second that.
It's been regularly moved and seconded that Scott Dressel will be appointed to fill the unexpired term of 4th Ward. Discussion?
Your Honor.
Good question. Oh, Mr. Davis.
Thank you. I didn't know that that was coming that soon. I don't agree with that decision. When Ms. Kirkdall stepped down, she personally called Mr. Mayo, who's always shown interest in the 4th Ward, and asked him to think about taking a spot. And he told her he didn't think he was going to because he couldn't get support from his council. Then myself and a couple other members of this council reached out to Mr. Mayo and convinced him to put his name in the hat. And I apologize for missing the meeting last week, family issues, and I know that's getting old, but I do have some illness in the family. And I didn't get the whole conversation, but I heard bits and pieces. And you don't want controversial people in council. Well, I think that's wrong. I think there's controversial people already in council. And I think there will always be, and there always will be, as long as you have 7 minds, you'll have 7 different opinions. Romeo in the past has run for the seat. He is asked to be appointed to the seat the first time when Mr. Fortunato passed away. And out of the 4, I don't remember seeing any of the other 3 in council meetings in the 4 years that I've been here. He comes on a regular basis, not only to council, but to the rec board meetings as well. Romeo can be controversial, but that's okay. He stands up for his convictions, he believes in what he believes in, and he's a strong man for that. I think that Ms. Kirkdall did a fantastic job. She was the first African American that we had in council since, I believe, Mr. Nixon. It's been quite some years, and I believe that the African American voice should be heard in the city of Steubenville. It's very important. I'm disappointed, please don't do that. I'm disappointed in this decision, but I have to live with it, as does everybody else. But I just felt that, I've been told, keep my mouth shut. If you ever want to run for office again, it's the worst thing you can do is stand up there and stand. But I'm behind him because I feel that he was the best choice for the job. And I don't care who knows it, and if I can't get elected because of that, then so be it. But you would vote for me again. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Any other member of council? Mr. Mika.
Your Honor, I do have a statement like Mr. Paul and Mr. Davis. I'd just like to say all 4 candidates have great qualities and a desire to serve the residents of the 4th Ward as their council person. I was impressed by all of them in the interview process, but as I reflected upon whom to choose for this position, a few factors came into play for me. The biggest being that over the past few years, the public perception of this council has been one of controversy and negativity. This is not a good view for a public body to have in these trying times for our city. Despite this, we've had a lot of progress. We saw it tonight across the street. We see it with the university, with the diocese and their projects. But I feel there is someone else in the field of candidates who would be a better fit for this open seat based on wanting to not have controversy and negativity. I believe the city needs someone who will not be controversial and who would be a positive, team-oriented member aimed at continuing to move our city forward. There's a candidate we interviewed who has all these qualifications. Although I respect all that he has done with his investments and work within the city, I do believe Scott is not the right person to fill this vacancy. I will vote no on him. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Mika. Any other member of council before the question is called?
Yeah, I do. Let me say something. I did not reach out to Royal Mayo and ask him to run for this position. I did not. Well, you said that some of the council members did. Okay, I'm not going to get controversial with you because you're my friend. All right? With that being said, there's 3,800 people in this ward. All right? There's only 1,785 people who are registered to vote. So that's 2,100 people that aren't registered to vote. In 2 years' time, Maybe you can get registered to vote, who's not registered, and you can vote. You asked 6 people here, and it wasn't our idea, and it's what the city charter says. I did what the best I thought I could do with the decision I made. I'm not saying, I like Romeo, I like Mrs. Sweeney, I like them all. I didn't know Mr. King, okay? With that being said, like I said, I didn't feel I had to make this decision, but it's what the charter said we had to do. It said the 7 council people had to make the decision. That's what we did. I'm sorry if it's offended somebody. You all said that you wanted, all 4 applicants said that you would run again in 2 years. I wish you all luck, and I hope you run it, because I'll tell you what, you all had good qualities. Each one of you had good qualities. I liked everything that you guys came up with. Like I said, it was a tough decision. It was for me, I know that. Just to let you know that. I'm not, and I have no animosity towards anybody. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Paul. There is a motion and a second on the floor. And question has been called. Roll call?
Mr. Davis?
No.
Mr. DiLoretto?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Metcalf?
No.
Mr. Paul?
Aye.
Mr. Villagna?
Aye.
So moved, motion carried. Mr. Scott Dressel will fill the unexpired term of Fourth Ward Council. With that, I had some discussion. Judge Mascio is out of town this week, but I spoke with the clerk of the courts. Not knowing who was going to be picked tonight, we did schedule a swearing-in ceremony at 12 noon tomorrow. So that is scheduled for tomorrow at 12 noon. It is open to the public. We will now continue on with, is there anything further, Mr. Paul?
No, sir, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Paul. Mr. Bill Magna?
Yes, Mayor, I just have, I'd like to congratulate the fire department, because I went up there and looked at that house up on 8th Street, and how they kept that house from burning down is beyond me. I mean, there's no damage to it whatsoever. I mean, it's literally that much space between them. They did a heck of a job. And I'd like to also get try to expedite getting these houses torn down, because it's my understanding that once they're burned down like that, then it becomes a full hazardous site. It's going to be more costly. So if we can
Consider fireable material, and there's
Yeah.
a possibility that it has to be moved because the asbestos 100%.
Exactly. So if we can get this expedited a little bit, we have the money for that. We had that money put aside for it, and I think we need to move on that a little more than what we're doing, especially if we take advantage of this weather that we're having, which is unbelievable. So, my hat's off to the fire department.
Thank you, Mr. Bill Magna, and I'm sure the city manager will relay that to the fire chief.
I'd be happy to. I appreciate those comments.
Thank you. That will conclude the report of committees from the members of council. Before we move into the administrative officers, I do want to take this moment to reflect very briefly. This past weekend, we had a very successful event at Braywick Classic Corner, Breakfast with Santa. We were able to serve the youth of our community. Our recreation department and our employees did a tremendous job, along with our recreation director. And we served about 170 youth in our community, and everybody received a gift. What a great sight that was. And of course, we want to thank Mr. and Mrs. Santa Claus for making their appearance. Understand that, Mr. Davis. Thank you to Mr. and Mrs. Santa Claus. But as you entered the building tonight, if you notice, what is really remarkable and amazing for our community is the event taking place across the street. Back in early fall, late summer, the thought of Nutcracker came about. Then it was decided maybe a Nutcracker village. And in the discussions, they talked about what's happening in Cambridge and the tourism and all. While what was talked about throughout the late summer and early fall is a reality. And what a great sight across the street with the Nutcracker Village and the Advent Market. If you haven't had an opportunity, please go across the street and visit. It's going to be open this coming weekend. And tonight we had a very successful light up at night. And I do want to thank the beautification committee for organizing that. Mr. Barella and Mark Nelson and the crew, I should say, because I don't want to leave out anyone, did a tremendous job. And I can only see the Nutcracker Village continuing to expand and bring tourism and a very nice atmosphere to the downtown area. And talking about the downtown area, this coming Saturday, we will once again have the Eastern Gateway Sounds and Sight Parade starting at 12 noon, and of course we want to encourage everybody to participate in those activities throughout the weekend. With that, we will now move into the administrative officer's report, and we'll start off with our city manager, Mr. Baldwin.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just a couple of items I wanted to bring to council and the public's attention. We talked about it a little bit in the finance committee meeting, but I am pleased to report that the residential meter replacement program is winding up. We're about 96% completed. As council will recall, our goal was to complete the project by 12/31/15, and I believe we are well on our way to doing that, and I would anticipate that it will be completed very shortly. I did want to mention a little bit, we passed the ordinance regarding the CDBG street improvement program. I did want to point out, and the public may not be aware, but the street that will be resurfaced as part of that program is Maryland Avenue from Bellevue Boulevard to McDowell Avenue. The estimated cost is about $135,000, but again, we're very pleased to be able to move forward with that project in 2016, I would imagine. At this point, Dave and Gary, if you have a moment to talk a little bit about aggregation and where we are with that schedule, and I think we're suggesting that we ought to do that in the November 2016 ballot. If you could explain a little bit how we got to that point, you and Gary, I'd appreciate it.
We're in the process of getting proposals from brokers. We were trying to get at least three proposals. We've received 2 so far. In order to have gotten that on the March ballot, it would have to be approved tonight. A lot of short notice. We really need to kind of get it out there, get it explained to the residents exactly what aggregation is, and get everybody up to speed before we submit it for a ballot issue. Anybody had any questions?
I think, and I appreciate that, Dave. I know you've outlined a schedule for us to follow, and probably will be something, once we get the broker involved, select the broker, we could be able to move forward with that in spring of 2016.
I would think so.
All right. Your Honor, that is my report for this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Baldwin. We'll continue on with the administrative officers to our law director, Mr. Rapella.
I have no report, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Rapella. And once again, we'd like to thank department heads for attending tonight's council meeting. Before we move on, I do also want to announce this evening, I mentioned about the swearing-in ceremony tomorrow for the 4th Ward, Mr. Scott Dressel. Also has been scheduled is the swearing-in of the at-large, the 1st Ward, 3rd Ward, and the 5th Ward council seat. And that is going to be scheduled for December 28th at 3 p.m. Again, that will be at December 28th at 3 p.m. here in council chamber. We did have a request from the council-elect at large that we do it on Monday because family's going to be in for the holidays, and we built up consensus with everybody, so we will accommodate that in Mr. Paul's work schedule on that day. So it will be at 3 p.m. here at Council Chamber. With that, we will now move into public forum. Is there anyone wishing to speak to City Council on city business? Please come forward, state their name and address.
Yes, my name is Jason Jenkins, 117 Lovers Lane, Steubenville, Ohio. Just wanted to speak on tonight's vote for the council, fourth ward position. Several things were mentioned, Mr. Metcalf, Mr. Gilman, we said we don't want controversy. We don't want, well, my friend Bob here, some people consider you controversial.
I consider myself.
Yeah, we don't want negativity. Mr. Mayor's not negative. Okay, everybody here, you're going to see eye to eye with everybody, but one thing we do know, he fights for what he believes in. He grew up in the fourth ward. He lived there all his life. Mr. Paul mentioned about the number of registered voters. Mr. Mayor goes out every year, because I've been there with him at times, registering voters, 2 bucks. Not only for the fourth ward, for all elections. We talked about the previous, Ms. Randy Burko. She was appointed over Mr. Mayor by some of you sitting here. So obviously, some of you sitting here, she ran, she won, she ran, she sat here with all of you. Everyone said what a fine job she did. But then we turn around and slap her in the face. She recommended Mr. Mayo. I mean, she did a fine job, but we're not going to take her recommendation. It's just, we talk about we don't want negativity. I just think we took a huge step backward tonight, and that's all I can say.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak to City Council on city business? Please come forward, state their name and address.
Ann Sweeney, 710 North 5th Street. I just want to thank council for the opportunity to come in and interview, and you'll probably see a lot more of me, of course. And I want to congratulate Scott. I think he's going to do a fine job for our board. So thank you.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak to City Council on city business? Please come forward, state their name and address.
Mayor, I'd like to say something before.
Mr. Bill Magna.
Yeah. Just in reference to what Jason said, I don't believe that anybody, this controversial thing, I'm not going to even speak about controversy because I'm controversial. And I like people that speak their mind. And that's not what this was about. It was about 4 people who were all qualified to apply for a job. And only one person can get that job. This council had a hard decision, and I agree with Mr. Paul. Nobody wants to be in that position, but that's what our position is. We have to hire someone. With that being said, we didn't get together and talk about this all amongst ourselves. We all had to go home and make up our mind what they were going to do. But that was not the decision in my head. In my head, I felt that Mr. Dressel was the most qualified of them, and that's why he got the job. Didn't have anything to do with anything else. So the negativity stuff and all that, I'm negative sometimes I'm positive. I sit here and I try to do the right thing, that's all. But that was not it. And Jason? Yes, sir. I just wanted you to know that. Okay.
Mr. Bill Magna. Is there anyone else?
John, 567 Great Garden, Steubenville, of course. Mr. Mayor, you mentioned you were in touch with my son, and probably have more information than I do. But I know he's a mandatory judicial seminar, which I thought didn't end until Thursday. You may have more information on that.
Nutter's putting it.
Oh, Judge Nunner is? Okay.
If you would like to come down, I'm sure Scott, because wouldn't mind if you want. You did.
Or so it's to the public. It's open to the public. Yeah.
No, I meant to do the.
No, I Judge Nunner to it. I know Scott. I like Scott and everything. I wish him the best and everything, but unfortunately, Yeah, right.
Your schedule will
Would you rather be surrounded by somebody in a robe and everything with a lot of...
You'd be just fine the way you are.
You what?
You'd be just fine the way you are.
Thanks. What time is it? It sounds like a cop out, but I have to be in Lisbon at 1:15. So unfortunately,
Judge, it's on standby, however, I'm the backup, so there you go.
All right. Anyway, about the proposed budget, and my opinion on that is there are some things in here I agree with, some I don't agree with. I'm fine with those Carol start tonight. Given the situation and the variance and the numbers and the figures and what any surplus we have or don't have, my opinion is a temporary budget would probably be the best way to go, to give everybody an opportunity to really sit down and analyze the numbers that you have and figure out the best way to go, rather than jump into something without having all of the necessary information that you need. And one thing I noticed in your elimination, I don't know what all this all is, elimination of all non-ice, snow, and extreme emergency overtime, which is fine, I mean, however it's called out. One thing that has bothered me was snow control, and I know you can save money. I don't know how much your salt costs you every year, how much it costs to spread it. But the one thing that has always bothered me is, and I'm downtown, that's where I work, been for years, is when I drive the downtown streets, which are as level as this newspaper, and they're no longer black or white. Why do we need this completely cover the downtown level street with salt? If you can't drive on a level street that's been plowed, there's something wrong. Maybe you shouldn't be driving at all. Maybe it's only a little bit of money, but the way I'm hearing the numbers being thrown out tonight, every little bit counts. And maybe you ought to take a look at some of that. I see the hills, the intersections, and places like that. But I think there's a lot of streets that if you just plow them, they would do the job, and you wouldn't have to go ahead and spend all the money that we spend on salt. Savings is a savings, however you arrive at it. And I think that's something you might want to look into. We talk about different programs. Now, I don't like to see anybody lose a job. I don't like to see departments closed or anything. Recreation, I certainly disagree with closing down recreation, and I agree with everybody who said you need it, and it is a major impetus in trying to get people to locate here, to any city for that matter. I think we need to keep the recreation department open. I think it was Mike Johnson that brought up a few weeks ago, you could save $200,000 by shutting down the health department. Last article I read was that the city is in talks with the county about some sort of cooperative agreement or something like that. That would indicate to me that we're going to be open, they're going to be open. If you need that much money, the county could take it over and you could save that money. And some of those people may very well be incorporated into the county's operation. But $200,000 is not a drop in the bucket. It's a big amount of money that could be used, and I think it's something that you might want to take a look at when you're doing it. Like I say, I hate to see people do it, but if you are in a financial bind, as tight as everybody seems to think it is, hard decisions have to be made, and that might be one of the hard decisions that you have to make. And Ken, thank you for the comment you made earlier on that. Mr. Bolton made a comment a couple of weeks ago on statements I made about utilizing that surplus that's in that fund. I agree with the statement out there with him. The manner in which that ordinance is currently drafted, a lot of the things I propose, you could not use that money for. That ordinance can be amended, and you can go ahead and tie in different things that have a reasonable relationship to sanitation and use that money for different things. But it takes a redrafting of the ordinance, bring it in, and start pulling on it. And you've got $5 million there to go ahead and work on. And I'm not saying you blow $5 million in a year, but you can at least use it in certain areas to maybe get you over the hump for a year or two to see how things are going. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak to City Council on city business? Please come forward, state their name and address. We'll close public forum. Mr. Gioretta.
I want to make one statement. I wasn't going to say anything on the appointment, but I'm not going to get in any argument. I also was appointed to council 2 times. 25 of us, I was lucky to get it. The other time there was 4. There was no animosity. There was no backstabbing. All of us made up our mind if I didn't get it, I was campaigning the very next day, come hell or high water. If I won, I won. If I lost, I lost. So I want to congratulate the other three candidates. Three are mad, one is happy. That's life. I was lucky. I got appointed and I ran, and I would do it again. Not everybody can be happy. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Guerrero. With that, we will now ask the council chambers to be cleared so city council can move into the